Thank you, everybody, for joining us and bearing with us for a few minutes as we make sure that you can hear us well today. Good afternoon. I'm Nicola Willier-Fenton, joined with Carolyn Siccama, who is one of our instructional designers, and we have Katie, one of our students, who's currently in our online Master of Public Health program, so we're really excited to hear from her as to how she navigates our online courses and how she's doing as a student in terms of fitting it all in. We have a poll up. Thank you, everybody who's been answering that, and we're so happy to see that people are really excited to begin. A couple of questions there about, ugh, not so sure. It looks like nobody's feeling that way, so that's really positive, so we're really excited to see that. A little bit nervous. There's probably a mix of that for everybody, but you're excited to begin your first or in another online course. Continuing your education is really wonderful to see. So we'll take that poll away, and we'll jump into the logistics today. So as I mentioned, my name is Nicola Willier. Both Carolyn and I have the good fortune of working at UVM's Continuing and Distance Education Department. We'll learn a little bit more about Carolyn's background. I always love to ask her what is an instructional designer, because I think that's such a fascinating field, and how that portrays and relates into the work that you're seeing in an online course. What is online learning here at University of Vermont? How you can be a successful online student, and we have a wonderful student joining us today, Katie, who's going to share with us her experience as to how she's being a successful online student, and hopefully will continue to be as well. As I mentioned, we have seen several comments and some activity in our chat box. That is a great place for you to ask any questions throughout the presentation. I'll do my best to keep an eye on that and see if I can get to all of your questions today. If there's something we were not able to answer, Kelly, who's on our team here, is wonderful about putting up our email address or putting up any additional resources in the chat box. So if there's something we haven't gotten to today, please know that we'll put other ways for you to get in touch with us so that we can answer those questions for you today. So Carolyn is with us, and she's one of our instructional designers here at the University of Vermont in our continuing and distance education, and really an exemplary knowledge in Blackboard, which is the course platform that she'll show us in a few minutes, and you can see some of her education. So tell me a little bit, just like, I'm sure you get this, like the elevator question, right? The speech. What is an instructional designer?
Well, if I was in an elevator, I'd say I help faculty design and develop online courses. So really working with training them on what is best practices for teaching and learning online, because it's very different from the classroom. And how can we make our courses high quality but engaging and interactive and maintain that rigor that they'd get here on campus.
And also from the student perspective, you're really thinking of the support necessary and services and different aspects in the course that help a student be successful as well.
Absolutely, yeah. If they have an assignment, just making sure that there's no assumptions being made, that all the details are spelled out, and that the students get all the directions and information they might need to do that assignment.
Right. Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. So let's go in a little bit more detail. Katie is joining us. Katie, I don't know that I've seen your webcam yet, so maybe if you want to, we've heard from you, so maybe turn on your webcam so that we can see you. We see this wonderful picture of Katie as well. She's a project manager at UVM's Tobacco Regulatory Project. Here she comes. There she is. Hi, Katie. Extensive research over the last 6 years, and I know that you shared with me that research is one of your loves as well, and you are currently a student in UVM's Master of Public Health course, which is a 100% online course. So we're really excited to hear your perspective as to how you're navigating that while also working full-time and trying to get out and hike and exercise and spend as much time as possible with your absolutely adorable dog named Bailey. So we'll learn a little bit more. So I want to back up for a second before we hear from Katie. So what is online learning at UVM? I feel like people have a lot of different perceptions and perspectives on an online course, online learning. Here at University of Vermont, how do we define online learning?
So we define it as courses are completely online. So they're in our learning management system, which is called Blackboard. And so when a student comes in, they can expect the syllabus online. They can expect all of the assignments to be online and submitted online. The lectures, if there's an audio lecture or a video lecture or written content from the instructor. All of the interaction, communication takes place online. So it's 100% online. So you don't have to be anywhere at any one time to take the course.
And there are some circumstances, I know in our fundamentals of digital marketing, there will be some live sessions. There's opportunities. And so that's unique, I think, to the different courses, but there's always a recording. of that live session.
Right.
So if you miss something and you say, gosh, I can't be at my desk on Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock, that is not preventing you from getting the information and being a part of it. It's just receiving it in a different way.
Absolutely. Yep.
So the other thing I think it's really important to think about too is, back to Carolyn's point, you're still getting the same rigor and academic credentials of a UVM course that you would be sitting in a classroom as you are online. But the benefits of online are listed here, a few things: the flexibility, the convenience, while still having really a high caliber quality of education in no matter what the course is. And so I think that's really an important thing to consider, because I think a lot of times people say, and probably ask you, well, is it easier? Is an online course easier? How do you respond to that?
Well, I think it's a notion that, oh, it's online, it's going to be easier. But I think some students come to find out it might feel a little bit harder because you've got to manage your time.
Right.
And, you don't have to be somewhere at any one time.
Right.
And so planning in that schedule, which Katie may refer to in her presentation. Yeah.
Is really important. And I think that once you get into it, you get a little bit of a rhythm and you figure out what works well for you.
Yep.
And the thing that also is really important to consider in online courses here at UVM is that it's very collaborative. There are pointed opportunities to collaborate with your classmates, but there's also, it just happens naturally. I have found in the courses that I've taken that you're asking a question and somebody else is responding in your class, the instructor's getting involved. So while you feel like, gosh, I won't have as much interaction as I may sitting next to somebody, I have found that that isn't necessarily true. That sometimes the interaction and the conversations continue well beyond because the bell doesn't ring.
Right.
Yeah, and your time isn't up.
Exactly. And if you're in an actual program, you'll be interacting with those students semester after semester. So those relationships build, and you might be working on a team with somebody from one semester to the next, or other opportunities like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So how to be successful as an online student? Here's a few tips. And Carolyn, why don't you go through these, because I think these are really generated a lot from the experience that you've had and the type of course you try to create for students as well. So walk us through some of these tips.
Can I interrupt real quick? I'm
Sure.
sorry. I'm sorry. People are having trouble hearing Carolyn.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that. We'll see if maybe Carolyn a little bit closer to.
All right, we'll try this.
It's when we move. Yeah, that's our microphones. Technology sometimes is our friend, as we know.
Okay.
Thank you, Katie,
Try
very
that a
much.
little bit better.
So let's walk through some of these tips for being a successful online student.
Yes, I think if we look at the first one, for instance, is we don't want students to log in once a week, do their whatever they need to do, and not come back for a week, because that really could set up a negative spiral of not doing so well in the course. So it's best practice to log in every day, if not every other day. Put these on your actual personal schedule. Do course 2 hours today or 20 minutes today. It doesn't have to be huge chunks of time. And then some of these other pieces is, sometimes there's group work or collaborative work, so you can expect to be working maybe in a small group with other students. And not all of our courses are appropriate for that, but it might be something that's an option. And then, using technology properly, that just means, one, logging in on a regular basis, but also when a faculty member or your instructor might say, submit this assignment in a certain way, is that you're following those guidelines and you're reading carefully the information that is presented to you and asked of you to do. And, the other piece is just paying attention to due dates, because, like I said, you don't have to be anywhere. You don't have to go to class to turn in your paper, for example. It's just paying attention to those due dates and submitting work on time. Just sets everybody up to be, successful in the course.
What I have found too is that when the module opens up, and it's fairly consistent that most modules open up on Wednesday, meaning your content for that week, it's really great to really take a big picture look at what's coming up,
Yeah.
What do I need to do?
Exactly.
What is maybe the estimated time that I might need to put towards this? Because sometimes there'll be more information in a different week. They tend to be pretty balanced, but you may find that, wow, that second week really took me a lot longer than I anticipated. Maybe I need to budget in more time going forward. And so trying to take a look at what's coming and getting a full picture so that you can budget for that.
Absolutely. Yep.
So Katie, you're up. So tell us how, looking at some of these different tips, has this been how you've been able to be successful in an online Master of Public Health program while working full-time and having a busy life?
Yes, I definitely think so. One thing that came to my mind that was a little bit different than what you've already mentioned is that I really like to try to start assignments that are different than the norm as soon as possible, just in case something comes up and you need to ask the teacher a question. I've always had teachers respond within appropriate amounts of time, but you never really know if an assignment is going to be different than what you think, or you might have a question about it. And if you wait until a couple days until it's due, then I feel like that could be where you might get into some trouble.
Yeah, really good advice. Absolutely. How have you, maybe let's look at the length of time so far that you've been in the Master Public Health program. How has your approach to your courses and your learning changed? What have you kind of learned in addition to kind of how you're approaching assignments? What have you learned over these last several months that have helped you to be even better as an online student?
I think one thing is just really trying to start things when they start modules as they come out. I tend to be a procrastinator for bigger assignments, so I've definitely changed in that way. Also, I um, I I'm typically a big planner, so I think I started out this way from the beginning, but I like to just look at, I've been taking 2 classes per normal semester and then one summer class at a time. So when I'm taking 2 classes at a time, I really look at the syllabi well in the beginning of the semester to plan out what my semester is going to look like, especially if you have things to do in your normal life. If you have a wedding to go to or you're going on a vacation, you want to make sure that that if your busy weeks are surrounding what your a personal event, you want to make sure you can handle that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that back to Carolyn's point and your point is really creating a schedule and looking at what does that look like for you personally. And I have a little bit of a graphic up here that folks maybe can see. And it doesn't necessarily need to get down to the detail of, from 8:30 to 9:30 I was studying. But I think more than anything, what we're trying to communicate here is that you need to plan this. You need to plan, when the modules open, and you need to take a look and see what is for the week, the coursework that week, what are assignments coming up, and then when are my opportunities to do this work, and really building it into your calendar. And one thing that I found is, I work full time. I have 2 young children. I have a husband who travels. I have active children. And on occasion, I still like to be social with my friends. And so I was really looking for where are the opportunities that I might not have thought of doing my coursework. When my daughter's at her gymnastics on Saturday morning, I would usually chat with some friends. Now I sit off to the side and work on some of my coursework. And so I think it's starting to change the way you think about your life and where you can find those opportunities that you might not have thought of to continue that information and continue to be a part of your class. How did you do that, Katie? How did you kind of morph some of the things that you were doing to fit into your coursework?
Unfortunately, I am I love learning, so it wasn't that hard for me because I've really loved I've liked all of the classes I've taken, and I've really loved most of them. So I'm usually eager to do my work. I definitely get frustrated by the difficulties of certain assignments, so it's not all wonderful, I'm really excited to do everything, but I'm usually, when I get home, I'm looking forward to just doing this coursework. So I didn't really have that problem. But I think for um, people who are, haven't been in school for a while, or maybe you're not as excited about schoolwork as I am, I think just maybe bringing your textbook with you when you're going on a road trip, or if you're going to an event. I don't know, it might be too much, but just bringing it with you just in case you have some downtime, or maybe even your laptop. I do that. I bring my laptop with me whenever I do most anything, and
Yeah.
just take it step by step. And I have a little post-it note on my laptop as well that tells me all the things I need to do each week for each class. And I just think of it as step by step, like one step in the right direction is a benefit. So even if it seems like a menial task that you can do in 10 minutes, it can make a difference.
Super helpful. Thank you. And hopefully that gives folks who are participating and listening a little bit of a perspective on how you can fit this in. And if people do have questions specifically, I know that Katie needs to jump off in the next couple of minutes or so. She's got a meeting coming up. So thank you for fitting this into your busy day. We appreciate that, Katie. But if there's any specific questions for her as to how she fit this in, that would be wonderful, and we'll keep an eye out for those. Katie, before you sign off for the next meeting you have to go to, any tips, something that you wish that someone had told you before you started an online master's program, for any of our folks who maybe this is their first online course that they're taking?
I would say to just know where where you're going to have internet. I haven't really had an issue with that, but I definitely have had to plan that because I have traveled pretty much every semester, so that's something I always keep in mind. Because then if you're bringing your computer around with you, you'll know when you're able to do some work. And then this is kind of off topic of what you asked, but I think it's something that helped me. I have a very busy schedule, and I thought in the beginning that I'd be able to plan out exactly when I would do things. But it hasn't turned out that way. And what I've been finding has helped me succeed is whenever I have the energy, I do what I can. Sometimes I'm just so wiped that I just need to sleep and then wake up really early in the morning. Sometimes I get a second wind at night and I stay up late, and then I wake up a little later in the morning if I can, or I just make up sleep the next day. But that has really worked for me, which is in the past is not what I've done as a schedule.
Really good point. And I think that we have some great blogs, posts on how to navigate these waters a little bit, and Kelly can grab a few of those and put those links up. And one of the things that I think is in one of those that I think Carolyn helped me with is your support network, and making sure that you do have, backup childcare if you're running late on something, or, I've hired a babysitter before, to get my coursework done, because I really wanted to have a dedicated amount of time, and that was the only way that I could fit it in. And so thinking about your support networks, thinking about how you can manage some of this yourself, and then also taking care of yourself. I think that Katie's point is exactly on target, that sometimes you are wiped out because you're working all day and you have your coursework to fit in, so you can maybe do a little bit in the evening, and then I have found that getting up early in the next morning to try to tackle it has been successful. Sometimes I can absorb it a little bit better than 10 o'clock at night sometimes.
Right. Yeah, and to add to that as well, faculty know that a lot of our students are adult students.
Right.
And reach out to them.
Totally.
Things come up in our lives that we just don't expect. And if there's a big project due, and obviously if you do it every single time there's a project, there's a red flag. But if something comes up, just reach out and say, what, something came up. Can I have another day or two to do this? And one thing we talked about faculty is be flexible. That's
Right.
part of the
Yep.
convenience and flexibility of being an online instructor. So most faculty, as long as they know in advance, are willing to work with you. If it's 3 days late and you never reached out, that's a whole nother story,
Right.
and that could get a little frustrating for all people. But just reach out. They want to hear from students.
Great. Thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that too. Katie, thank you so much. I know you got to zip off. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective. We hope to hear more from you in the future, and we look forward to good things from you out of the Masters of Public Health program. So thank you, Katie, very much. We'll talk to
Katie.
you again
Sure.
hopefully soon.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, we do have a couple questions. So before we dive into, because we're going to do a little demo of Blackboard. Carolyn will show us kind of behind the scenes. And so a couple of different questions. How accessible are the instructors? So that's a great question. And I feel like incredibly accessible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, that's what they're here for. So we have a policy that we encourage faculty, to reply to email. If you send them an email, 24-hour response, and they're usually quicker than that. 48-hour response. So if you are working on a project that's due in 20 minutes and you expect an email, you might not get that if it's due at midnight. But just know that, and on the discussion boards, anytime you're interacting with faculty on the discussion, usually they're a part of that as well. So they are there and they want to
support you
and help you learn, and you learn from them and they learn from you. I mean, it's
goes back to the collaboration and
exactly.
feeling like you're absolutely supported and you're in this. How many weeks are required for online marketing program? So I think you're talking about the digital marketing program. I'm guessing. I'm not sure. Maybe Jeremy, if you want to just let me know. Yes. Okay. Great. Thank you for that. It is an 8-week course as well. And so Kelly maybe could put up the link to our digital marketing, our fundamentals of digital marketing. We also have most of our courses are either 8 or 10. There might be one in there that might be 7. And then we have short courses as well that typically are in our Business of Craft Beer school and also in our digital marketing school. So those are more intensive. I had a question in our digital marketing webinar earlier today that said, are these boot camp like? And the short courses, the 4-week courses, are a little bit more boot camp like. The longer courses, the 8-week or the 10-week or the 7-week, are longer and maybe don't feel quite as intense, even though it's still a lot of work. There's a lot of the work that goes into it. And then also, Jeremy asked how many hours are required for the online marketing program. Hours, and so each week it probably still ranges anywhere between 5 to 7. I think some weeks probably would be more from 7 to 10. And oftentimes in the courses there may be a suggestion at the beginning of the module as to how much time that week might be. And so look for those opportunities to say, oh gosh, this is a heavier week. That might be more 12. I need to plan for that. You can also ask.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Please. I know they would love to answer those questions. So hopefully that answered some of those questions for Jeremy. And Katie also put her email address in there for UVM as well, if you have other questions about how to navigate and be successful as online. So I'm going to turn it over to Carolyn. So why don't you show us around Blackboard? Blackboard is our online classroom. And there's a variety of different facets in there. Carolyn's going to walk us through some of the key points. We're not going to go too deep because this is just a quick overview, but she's going to show us what are some of the components of Blackboard that you will be interacting with most often.
Yeah, so I have shared my screen. This is one of our certificates in cannabis plant biology. And I just want to show you kind of the lay of the land. So this is within a course in our Blackboard learning management system. And you can see here on the left menu, we've got a link to the course syllabus, the course materials, which is where you will find all of the lectures and course content, which I'll just show in a minute. We have a link to a page where all of the assignments are listed. And so when you go here, you can see all of the links to and explanations of the assignments for the course. In this particular course, because it's an audience oftentimes that has never taken an online course, and a lot of this is new, so we have a little link to various tutorials in the course, like how to submit an assignment or how to participate on the discussion board. So, and then there's, we're getting this course set up to start in a few weeks, but there will be a link here on the left to a discussion area, which is a huge component of this course. It's very interactive. So I'm just going to jump in here. If we click course materials, and our courses always start with a getting started folder, and that includes a welcome video from the instructor, and you'll hear from them and a little bit about their background, and then usually
Kind of sets the
Actually,
tone for what's
very
coming.
much sets the tone. You
Yep.
can hear from them. In this case, this is Dr. Monique McHenry. And then we have a link to a course orientation video, just again, kind of doing the same thing I'm doing here, but a little bit more specific. And then your next steps. So we kind of guide you through when, as you're getting started. Okay, now go to the course syllabus and read that, and then go to module 1. And so I'll just quickly jump into the first module here.
And while you're jumping into module,
Yep.
this is a great question from Rosa. Do modules open and close at certain times and days? And the answer is yes.
Yeah, so once they're open, usually they stay open, but we do have to avoid, if it's a 8-week course, let's say, to avoid having you feel totally overwhelmed on the first day with all 8 modules open, we do open them on a regular weekly basis. But once they're open, they remain open and you can refer back to them at any time.
Yep. Great, thank you.
So yes, good question, because that comes up a bit. And so within the module, you will find a module introduction. In this case, we have a little video each week, again, from the instructor, just kind of setting the tone for the module and what's going to happen in this particular module. Usually a handful of learning objectives, so you could really see, okay, this is what I need to focus on, and this is what all the materials and content focuses on for this particular module. Listing of the readings and the assignments, and then
Timelines as deadlines
yep,
to when
as
things are due.
deadlines. Yep. And then in this first module, usually you're asked to introduce yourself, and so faculty may have some very specific guidelines in how you would introduce yourself, just to kind of get you thinking about the content or sharing resources or anything like that. Now I'm just going to scroll down here, and here's the learning materials. In this case, we have little presentations on cannabis history and in law and policy. There's a handful of them that we've kind of chunked down. So you can see one is only 6 minutes. So it's not like you're sitting here for a
Hours
long time.
upon hours,
yeah. If you have 10 minutes of your time, you can come in, listen to this presentation, and then maybe later that day or the next day you come in and the law and policy is a little bit longer, so maybe you plan for that. So you could see we put that here.
I think that goes back to the point that we were making in the beginning, is when the module opens, get in and take a look.
Yeah,
and take a look and
exactly.
see what is expected of me this week. Where can I chunk out those different times
Absolutely.
to accomplish this so it doesn't feel overwhelming? Or if you have the time, tackle it all in one day. You know what I mean? It really just depends on what your world is like and how you do this.
Yep, exactly. And we have the lecture slides here in PDF, so some students like to print those out and take notes as they're listening to the lecture. So different ways to learn. If you like to print things and take notes, you have that. If you like to just listen to it, we have it. These are captioned, so it's captioned. So if you're in a coffee shop or don't want the volume up, you can also listen that way. So lots of things that we think about as we're designing these.
Great.
So.
That's great. Is there anything else you want to show us? I think that's a great kind of quick overview.
That's, a very quick overview. And we do have a Blackboard demo on our website, and I can ask Kelly to share the list, the student checklist for success. And in that checklist for success, we have a link to the demo.
Awesome. Great. So we'll have Carolyn kind of click back out of sharing her screen. We'll put the presentation back up and keeping an eye on your questions as well. So again, Blackboard is the primary tool that we use for our courses. And so there are tools and resources to help you feel comfortable with Blackboard. And in some of our courses, we also have a orientation. For example, in our end-of-life doula professional certificate course, the course actually opens a week early, and there's a specific orientation for that course as well. And so really what also I think Carolyn's trying to express is that if you have questions, if you're having trouble, please reach out early so that you feel comfortable and successful in the platform throughout the entire course. And Becca asked, will there be an email sent with a link to the Blackboard, to download Blackboard? Once you have registered and the process to complete your registration, you will, as the course gets closer, get more information. You'll get your ID, you'll get information, and you'll get links into the platform as well. You could log in early, I believe, but still the content's not there until the course actually opens.
Right. Instructors usually open it a few days before the course might start, so you can get in there. But it's actually, Blackboard isn't actually a download. It's web-based. So anywhere in the world you have an internet connection, you can get onto Blackboard. So there's nothing you need to download for Blackboard per se. I mean, I've had faculty be in Africa and they go to internet cafes and find network access there. So it's
And back
it's
to
wonderful.
yeah, and back to Katie's point, know where the internet
Know where
is.
it is.
It's
Yes,
really important, I
yes.
think, when you're traveling, as many of us do as well. So this is just a quick sampling of some of the online courses that are coming up. So if you haven't taken a course yet and you haven't signed up for something yet, and this is something you're still considering, here's a few different online courses that are coming. But I also wanted to share that there's a variety of different courses that we have in our online portfolio as well. We heard from Katie, who is in our online Master of Public Health program. There's graduate certificates that are online, and then some of our other professional certificates, which include digital marketing, which we had a question before, business of craft beer. So there's really a variety of things that are available to you to continue your learning or to learn something new as well. A couple of quick questions coming in, and then we'll start hopefully wrapping up. We have a question from Leah that says, do any faculty post syllabus before a few days out for planning purposes?
Yeah, I do know that for, I think, cannabis, we actually post a sample syllabi online so you could see
Right
what
now,
it is.
on the website.
Right, on
Yep.
the website right now. But that's just a generic one, I think, from last fall. But as for a current, let's say you were taking that in the spring, usually it would be available when the course is available. Yeah. But if it's something that, you absolutely had to have, you could probably email the instructor and ask to have a copy.
Or reach out to us too. We might be able to get,
Yep.
A synopsis or a draft form to be able to share as
Yep.
well. You're welcome, Leah. Thank you for that great question. So, as we have encouraged throughout this entire presentation, if you have questions, if you're curious about your first online course, if you want to have any follow-up questions for Katie as to how she's fit all this in with working full-time as well, we really are encouraging you to do that. So there's lots of information there. You can follow us on our social channels as well, where we often post tips and blogs that are related to this kind of content to help our students be successful. So I see the questions are kind of slowing down. Hopefully we've been able to answer your questions today. And if there is something else that we can answer, please follow up with us. Hopefully we will see many of you upcoming in an online class, and we have no doubt you will be a successful online student. And yes, this Kelly did share that this is being recorded, and we will share this out so that you can follow up on some of those tips and any of the blog posts as well that have been linked. So thank you, Carolyn, for joining us.
Thank you.
And guiding us through and hopefully giving confidence boost to many of our students here. And we hope you all have a wonderful afternoon. Take care.